let's talk about Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Now, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions came out in 2010. It was written by Dan Slott, developed, or partially written by Dan Slott, developed by Beanox, which was a company that like a publishing company that was under Activision back when Activision had the Marvel video game license and a lot of other video game license that they have subsequently lost because they were a terrible company, from what I understand. But this is Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Basically, at the beginning of the game, Mysterio tries to steal this thing called the Tablet of Order and Chaos, and basically it's like, with this, I'm gonna take over the multiverse. Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, played by Neil Patrick Harris, breaks the tablet while trying to get it away from Mysterio, and now him, along with Spider-Man Noir, played by Christopher Daniel Barnes, Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, played by Dan Gilliland, and of course, Ultimate Spider-Man, played by Josh Keaton, all have to work together to basically attain, I believe, like 16 fragments across multiple levels throughout this game. This is basically a adventure game with platforming and where you run around and you beat people up like you're seeing right here in the gameplay. And yeah, it's general fun, general mayhem. There are multiple different villains that you fight throughout the course of the game, and multiple locations that you do that with. The best, at least my personal favorites from all Spider-Man, my favorite Amazing level is the Juggernaut level. My favorite Noir level. The Juggernaut, I think, is really that level is really funny because it's just the Amazing Spider-Man played by Neil Patrick Harris, who's a comedy like gold mine. I really appreciate Neil Patrick Harris's sort of knack for comedy. He's basically stuck in between Silver Sable and her forces along, trying to capture the Juggernaut, and Juggernaut just batting them away like flies, and Spider-Man stuck caught in the middle, and it's great comedic gold, And my favorite Noir level is the Goblin level. That the carnival is just so creepy and so cool. The opening sequence where where you have to go around and like there are fireworks going off is so cool. It's just like a really neat and really cool like sort of stage that is so unique to Noir. And yeah, you want to what? The gameplay for Noir, the stealth combat isn't necessarily super great. Could have been much better. You can definitely tell that it's the weakest of the mechanics that this game has. But that level is the best of Noir. And then you have the Scorpion level for 2099, but 2099 actually has like another great level with the Dr. Octopus, and this actually is where we get for the first time ever a female Doc Ock. That's why there's one in, or she's the reason why there's one in Into the Spider-Verse, which is really cool. Just sort of see like this is where like Dan Slott kind of tested this idea of a Spider-Verse, and then he would go on in 2015 to create the Spider-Verse comic, and like it's a whole thing. And of course, this game is the reason why Miguel O'Hara sort of caught, notoriety, caught fame in the 2010s. That's this game. Then there was interest in more comics. Dan Slott did Spider-Verse, allowing for Peter David to come back and do more comics. And of course now Miguel O'Hara is in a major, or was last year in a major motion picture. It's really cool stuff in my personal opinion. And so you got Miguel's levels, which are like the Scorpion level, and then you also have Ultimate Spider-Man. And my favorite level of his is probably actually the Carnage level. I love how spooky that is. It does a really good job at feeling like, oh shit, Spider-Man just went into like a zombie movie. That's so like rad. But I also love the Deadpool level, and I actually had to flip a coin whether or not whether I show that level or I show the the whether I show the Deadpool or Carnage level, ultimately the head, the coin flipped heads. So I got Deadpool for y'all. But yeah, Josh Keaton is the greatest Spider-Man actor ever. Yuri Lowenthal, I think, is second. It might actually be the king, but they're both so fantastic at actors that I don't think it's they're almost equal. They're both God mode, right? And Christopher Daniel Barnes, I think he does the most with this comeback. Like Neil is just plain Neil, and Dan Gilzan might not have been right for Miguel, and of course Josh Keaton. You know he's going to be the goat, but like Christopher Daniel Barnes is the guy who showed up and was just like, okay, I'm going to do something different, and that turned out to be great. And he's, I think, the best part of his levels, honestly. And also in this gameplay, I get cited because you're basically doing stealth, and the idea with Noir is that you're the weakest Spider-Man, which shouldn't he get the symbiote, but whatever. He's the weakest Spider-Man. So you gotta stick to the shadows. You can't be seen. I've never been cited so much playing the 14 years of this game, man. I have no clue what that was all about. But you're about to see it right now. See, boom, look, cited. No idea what this is about. And yeah, it's just utter insanity, at least in my opinion. And yeah, so gameplay complaints that I have, besides the stealth mechanics being a little clunky, the game hasn't aged super well. Like the ultimate levels look great, but like you can kind of tell that the textures on like amazing levels are kind of simplistic. Like it's shell shaded, but it's not like as shell shaded as like the Ultimate Spider-Man levels. Like the Ultimate Spider-Man levels look like the Ultimate Spider-Man game, and are, able to be like, okay, this is like just what this universe looks like, and those levels probably look the best. But it's also just like, okay, you have this ultimate, you have these character models that are okay, are decent enough, but like they don't look super great. There's also just some outdated combat mechanics just in general, where it's just like, oh, there's quick time events and general stuff like that. Another complaint that I will sort of slightly lightly, the whole, you got to protect some, this is where you see like protect scientists type stuff. Protect a certain point or a certain post and make sure that those allies don't die was a major thing in the early 2010s. What generation was this? Generation 5 console sort of era. That was a big thing. That's a little annoying. These guys also kind of suck. The shield guys. But I haven't. I was a little rusty at this game. I will admit. But yeah. But I feel like just certain mechanics are kind of outdated. The graphics don't look necessarily as good as they could. I think this game most certainly, hopefully, will one day get a remaster. And I can't wait for this game to look as good as it probably will ever look as soon as that remaster happens. Because I'm okay with a remaster. I don't need it to be remade. Just polish up the visuals. Because this is a good game. Another complaint that I will slightly lobby at this 14-year-old game is that I feel so. Stanley has has the opening narrated lines, and then he sort of closes the game as well. So he opens and closes the game, but his wife plays Madam Web. I forget his wife's name, but she, both of them have unfortunately passed away. But like, I feel like what would have been kind of cool is if, especially since she is reprising her role as Madam Web from the old 90s cartoon. She played Madam Web in the 90s show, and then she plays her here. I feel like it would have been really cool, actually, in retrospect, in hindsight, if they had her play Madam Web, or if they had Stan Lee play Mysterio. Like when that, that would kind of be cool. Granted, Mysterio, you know, doesn't have a lot of lines either compared to the narrator, but like I feel like, I don't know, you could just like that it would have been, I think, cooler in hindsight if Mysterio was maybe played by Stanley. But the two actors do a great job, and this whole game is filled to the brim with major talent who are doing a great job with this game. And this game is fun. It's just a fun old style. You're swinging through corridors, beating up people type of game. You know, uh, this is one of the games that I go back to constantly and just sometimes pop in every once in a while because it's just so much fun. And now let's get to the positives. I love the voice acting. I think everyone, like I said, I think everyone does a good job. I think the video game is pretty well written. Is it a little sloppy that like, oh, Peter, yeah, amazing Peter, Neil Patrick Harris, broke the tablet of order and chaos and now has to regain all the pieces and stuff like that, and he has to have like other hymns do it too. Like, is that a little contrived? Yeah, but it's a video game. It's just something to get the ball rolling, and it's not the most complex that we will see this concept done. Have this concept be done with. It's not the most complicated, I'll admit, but like the comic was also a bit lame. Like, let's just be frank here. The comic was also a bit lame. So I think I think personally the best that this concept, this Spider-Verse concept has been handled, is honestly the movies. But it was just sort of nice to have a Spider-Man game that was just like, let's bring back the guys, some of the guys who played Spider-Man throughout the years, and they all deliver, they all do a great job, and you can tell that every other person who they brought in to play these characters, like Jim Cummings plays the Goblin and plays both the Goblin and plays Craven, and he's a legendary actor, and he's doing such a great job here. And like, you can just tell that these people understood the assignment and knew what they wanted to do. And Beanox was such an incredible studio that they also in turn understood the assignment and were just like, okay, we're gonna make the best Spider-Man game ever. And I will say, my personal favorite is Edge of Time. From the 4 games Beanox did, my personal favorite is Edge of Time. I actually think the DS port of this game utterly slaps so hard. If you have not played, or at least have not seen gameplay of the DS version of Shattered Dimensions, I recommend you watch that. You find it somehow, because that game is, I think, especially once you get out of story mode with that bogus mini game, if you get out of story mode and you go play the other modes, that game is so great for speedruns. I have beaten that game a little over 2 hours. Like, I was at one point in time in my life that efficient. Of course, I have no proof, but I was at one point in time efficient with that game. Love that game so much. Although it eliminates one of the Spider-Men, because I guess Neil Patrick Harris can't do the DS game too. But whatever. Like, this is a great game, and I love this game. I do have some problems with it. I think in one of the gameplay segments, you also see a bit of a glitch. Like, in the Amazing segment, at some point, Peter kept spider sensing, like that animation kept going over his head for some reason. But this is just such a great game. If you have not played it, get it on Steam. I'm sure it's really expensive on the 3D, on either the DS, the 360, or the PS3 version. So I recommend you try to find it on Steam. It's a great game. If you have not played it, highly recommend it. Whether you're a Spider-Man fan or whether you just want a fun action game. And so comment below, let me know what you think of this game. Do you love it as much as I do? Do you have problems with it? Did you maybe skip it back in the day? and catch it later. Who knows? Who's your favorite Spider-Man actor? My favorite is, of course, Josh Keaton. But I think Christopher Daniel Barnes, like I said, did something really special with this game. And, you know, everyone has the right to their opinion. And would you love to see a sequel to this game? I personally, if you gave it to someone else who maybe isn't Insomniac, I feel like you could get a really cool sort of sequel out of this. But that is it for now. Remember that God made special. He loves you very much. I hope you have a very nice day. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, God bless and have a lovely day.